Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. I have two joven Espadín mezcals. This is Del Maguey Vida Single Village Mezcal, introduced in 2010. It is made in a single village in the state of Puebla, Mexico, and it is produced for Del Maguey. They said, I saw a video from one of their brand representatives, and he said that they were having trouble keeping up with production at their distillery mezcal area, which is not very big. And they said they started this program in 2010 to give people a chance to source it for them, more mezcals. This one, the Vida line, well, there's actually the Vida Puebla, the Classico, and a third one. They're supposed to be like introductory mezcals, like mild, not too harsh, for people that are just starting out with mezcal. Okay. And I find that it's mild, but I also find that I have trouble telling it apart from the other mezcals that I own. So I keep harping on it, how tricky it is to do these challenges with, I'm not saying with brandy or rum or rye whiskey or whatever, but with mezcal, it's been a pain, man. Fun though, enjoyable, but just a challenge, so challenging. Now here's El Silencio. I bought this, I can't remember where. Yeah, it runs about the same price. They're both about $32.99. And then after I bought this, about a month later, they had it at Mathern's for $9.99. I don't know how they got that closeout deal, but I didn't need more of it. It's got this nice frosted black bottle, which is really dark brown glass. You can tell when the light shines through the top if you're during the daytime, or if I had my lamps on. Yeah, so, but it appears black, but it is actually dark brown, just like that Hennessy Black, which I don't know if they still make Hennessy Black. I haven't seen that in a while, but I had a little bottle of it, and it looked black. The bottle looked black. But then when you shine light on it, you can see it was actually dark purple. Deep purple, I'm a highway star. Anyway, that's the story on that. Now, this one is 43% alcohol, introduced in 2013, and it's produced not by, but for a family-owned resort, of all things. There's a resort down in Mexico, and, it looks fancy. I'm sure it's extremely expensive, but, that's fine. A lot of people like to do that. And they wanted to have their own brand of mezcal to have there, and they have 3 different types, and they ship them to the U.S. Now, how available it is, I can't say. I got it. I've seen it twice, at least twice. Once when I bought it, another time at the local grocery store. So can't speak for your area. So I don't know. It's something you'd have to check out. We can look at the websites on the screen share. Here's the Mezcal Vida Puebla by Del Maguey, or made for, like I said, for Del Maguey in the town of Xocopan. Copper pot still, 2 times distilled. Yeah, I forgot to put that on there, dang it. Cocktails you can make, they focusing on that because it's basically what it's designed for. Cocktail usage, which is not not the weather. I was going back. I wanted to show you the other, the Vitas, sorry. You can hear that storm moving north. It never did rain here. I've heard a few drops, but it was a bad storm, but it started at below New Orleans, went into New Orleans, went northwest to us, but then bypassed us. The Vida de Muertos, that runs about $60. Vida Classico, which probably runs about 40, and then this one, the Del Maguey Vida Puebla, I paid $32.99, but price subject to be different here and there. Here's the Espadín from El Silencio. There is a locator tool, so that would be very helpful, assuming it's accurate. Echo it. Made for the firebrand who likes options, our Espadín mixing mezcal is the perfect companion for cocktails or simply to sip on its own. So they're saying to sip on its own. It's good enough for it's just sipping. A robust, deep flavor profiles earthly delights and hearty tastes, providing a subtle spice and pronounced finish, unlike any mezcal or liquor you've encountered as well. That part I doubt because they all taste about the same to me. But little smoke to your smoke emitters. They don't say anything about double distillation. Now, what other ones do they make? Well, there's one coming soon, so we're not going to go on that. It's not ready yet. This one's called Ensemble. And it is 2 wild agaves, Tobaciche and Mexicano. So now this is in a clear bottle. No, I haven't seen this one. I haven't seen it. Hadn't been looking for it either. So what is that? Umbra. I think that says. I can't see it very well. Coming soon. So not available at this particular time. Oh, this one is the rare. There is a rare. And it's in a fancy box with fancy glasses, and you know it's going to fancy price. Limited edition, probably around, but you might run when you see the price. I'd like to try it, what the heck, but yeah. Okay, hear the rain. You check out this weather radar. Yeah, it's just barely skirting us. I don't think I'm going to get a lot, but I could be wrong. I was going to try to mow the lawn today, so that isn't going to help me. If it's all wet, I'm not going to cut wet grass. Oh, heck. Or at least the heavy stuff is out in the swamp, which needs fresh water. They're going to divert Mississippi River water into the swamp because all the trees are dying. Okay. Not too bad. Now, after I mow the lawn, I want it to rain for days because it's getting dry. It gets dry so fast with this summer heat. But that's it. The grass is high. Well, of course, I said that last night. I can mow the lawn, and the next day, 24 hours later, looks kind of ragged because it just grows so quickly here, and the soil here is so good. Now there's a benefit. They've got a lot of negatives for Louisiana, like hurricanes, floods, humidity, heat, a lot of heat. But it's good for planting crops like sugarcane and the grass. You don't need to fertilize it; just be green all the time. One time my neighbor he said, I'll put some fertilizer in your front yard. And he did it, but it seemed like it made it hyperactive. It sort of hurt their yard in a way. So I'm glad he never did that again. All right, time for the tasting. I'm leaving the lamps off because I'm trying to see how the natural light, dawn busters will come into play. As the days go by, though, it's going to be less and less because the days are getting shorter now that we're into summertime. So, and then when December comes around, right before Christmas, then the days will start getting longer again. You know how this cycle works. All right, or you should know if you went to school. Okay, 2 times distilled. Got the notes there. Here we go. All right, not neutral. sort of that way, but regular is what I meant to say. Just regular mezcal aroma. Now, if you let the guy on the street or lady on the street who's knows tequila and they smell this, immediately going to think, oh, that's tequila. What is it? What brand is that? You know what I'm saying? No, mine. So then you'd have to tell them mezcal. I've been trying to explain to some people mezcal and tequila, and they seem to not get the picture. It's like, I don't know why this confuses you so bad. Because somebody at work was telling me, I like the tequilas with the worm in it. I said, well, that's actually mezcal. And it's like, it's going over his head. He's like, oh, yeah, well, oh, yeah, all right. But I still like the tequilas with the worm. I'm like, I give up. This one's even more neutral, so I think it's the Vita. Now, like somebody at work telling me, he was drinking a rye whiskey, and he says, such a good bourbon. I said, well, a rye whiskey, and I don't try to come across as a know-it-all or stuck up like, oh, you're so dumb, don't you know that? No, I try to help people. And I said, well, you know, rye whiskey's not a bourbon. He's the one that jumped up, got loud, and said, you're wrong. It is a bourbon. I said, no, it's not, Stephen. And he kept harping, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't, and that's, well, I'll take the challenge. You know, if you want to lay down a challenge, I pulled out $20. I said, see, this tells me I'm right. Not that I really bet, you know. And I would never place a bet anyway, unless I knew I was going to win. That's why I told him, I said, don't ever bet with me because I don't bet unless it's a sure shot. In other words, I'd just be taking your money and let you welch. So he's like, oh, I'm gonna find out. You're gonna see. So he actually went home and did the research. He wasn't angry like that, but he was just like insistent. So the next time I saw him, he said, you're right. You got me. You're right. I was wrong. He said, and if I'm wrong, I'll admit it. And I like to learn things too. I said, I said, you and I are the same way. If I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. You know, and I've been wrong in videos before. I made mistakes. I'm not so proud that I got to be like, oh no, I didn't mean that. You know, I don't. That's like a self-confidence problem, or like a what you call that? Self-consciousness. What I'm trying to say, self-conscious problem. And that's not a good way to be. Okay. I wonder what that. I see a white dot of light. I wonder if that's indicative of the camera going out slowly, because I think these cameras do go out. Well, anything breaks over time, doesn't it? Okay, especially with the heavy usage I give it. So yeah, well, like that fridge, it's gonna go out one day, but it still works even with that squeal. Cool, freezer cold. So oh well, the camera goes out, I'll buy a new one. I didn't pay a lot for it anyway. It's not the best. I know somebody's got problems with his Logitech camera, and he paid $80 for it. He said, I got the deluxe. It was $89. 89. I said, what? Yeah. And he said, still doesn't focus correctly. I said, oh yeah, I'm glad I paid. Well, I think mine was $15.99 and doesn't focus correctly. I said, so I see where that went. But, you know, but I think it's all Walmart sells, that brand. I'm not sure. They don't sell mezcal. That I know. Because you can go on Walmart.com and type in mezcal and it won't come up. It'll say no results. I only found one brand there in my life, and that was years ago, and that was the Sombra. Okay, this is a little bit smoky, vegetative. Yes, in Louisiana, Walmart sells liquor. I know in some states, no way, right? But here we do, right on the aisle. It's not behind a counter. I mean, some of it is in a cabinet, the stuff that they figure people might try to steal, the really high hat stuff. But yeah, it's the way Louisiana is. You can go to Winn-Dixie and buy liquor off the shelf, like cornmeal or something. All right, so that's smoky and vegetative. Is it remarkably different? Well, no, in fact, it's not different at all. It's just regular old stuff. Yeah, same thing here, but no smoke. Now, what I like to get some more reposados, and I have one or 2. They're kind of aged a little bit. That means rested in oak. And then I bought the Jickaroo Reposado, the blue label, earlier this month. So they'll have a little bit more character. And añejos, the age might be aged 2, 3, 4 years or longer in oak. Well, yeah, of course they're going to have more character. So yeah, I would like to try them all. But there's only so much a person can do. So which of these do I prefer? Is the ABV giving me any clues? 43% versus 40. No, I can't say that it is. No, I'm not seeing that. Not seeing that. There's a savoriness here, a little underlying smokiness, and they talked about that on the El Silencio, so their website. So let's go with that. But see, if I drink the Vita in isolation, it seems smoky. When I put it in competition, it gets me all confused. It gets me so very confused. There's daylight coming into play out there. I know it's dim, but it is there. I know the video is dark, but that's the whole Dawn Busters concept. It seems bizarre as it is, right? You say tasting liquor at 5:30 in the morning is a little bit, it's a little strange. I agree. But I mean, you know, I wake up so early that it's not that early for me. And secondly, if I'm doing one tasting on a day in a day, right? Say I'm gonna taste liquor in a day. Well, what difference does it make if I do it at 5:30 a.m. or 5:30 p.m.? It's still once in a 24-hour period, right? If I drink let's say on a day off, I drank 4 beers. The time period, it doesn't matter. Now, it might, if you're trying to go to sleep and you have to get up and go to the bathroom 10 times, that could be a problem. I try to not drink beer close to bedtime, which makes sense, doesn't it? Okay. Or if I'm, you know, going somewhere where I got to sit down in it for an hour and listen to somebody talk. Well, that's a deep subject. Well, you know, I mean, well is a deep subject. You say that's a dad joke. I know I got that from my father. He likes to make these little bizarre, it was kind of like quip jokes. I think this is the El Silencio and I prefer it, but barely. And the price doesn't matter because I paid this, well, I paid the same. So that's a factor. That doesn't play any role in the decision. So I'm going to say this is El Silencio and it's better, but only barely better. I got it right. Oh, well, that's the miracle of the morning. Just kidding. But it is tough. Mm-hmm. And do other people do live mezcal taste challenges? They might. I'm not aware of any. I haven't seen any. I'd watch them, of course, but I haven't seen any. You know. Sad. We keep losing beer tasters, liquor tasters. You said they got burnt out and quit, huh? Some of them do, yes. Some of them became ill. Some of them realized they were drinking too much and needed to give it up. You know, split with the program, and that's understandable. But the ones I mean, or they died. Thinking about all the beer reviewers and so forth that have died over the years. What cause? Well, I don't know. You know, heart trouble. One guy fell in his house or outside and died from injury. That was terrible. But a recent one died apparently December 2024. Food Quig. I used to. He would just give a general overview of the product and his overall opinion, but I don't think he ever really gave a rating. He would just you could more or less detect what his overall score was just by his expressions and his attitude toward the product. So he didn't really need to give a rating because you could pretty much tell what he thought about it. But I noticed his videos weren't coming up. I was like, man, I haven't seen any of his videos lately. I wonder what happened, because sometimes people just get busy. I get that. But he was so regular with it. He was posting just regularly every week, just always consistent, coming out constantly, and then just silence. So I found that strange. But somebody's saying on his Facebook he died, and it was just a sudden thing. And she was saying, I was just totally shocked, couldn't believe it, But I was rather shocked myself. But you just never know, boy. You just never know. Okay, and I can name a lot more who have passed on, and that's going to happen to you and me one day. We hope not soon, but you never know. Is the Vita worth checking out? Definitely. Now, see, now that I'm sipping on it by itself, I am picking up a little smoke, but just the tiniest little bit. Now, my friend David said, he counterpointed me on that. He said, I don't think I got any smoke on that. I don't know what you're talking about. I said, it's very thin. It's a very thin amount. But he loved it. He loved it so much he went searching for it after he left here. I guess he had a little money, left over for the month. And he called. He said, "I'm going to this liquor store, kind of famous one around Louisiana, kind of legendary actually." So he's never been to the second or third location. I think he'd be fascinated by those too. But he called me from the store and he said, "Is this the one you have?" And he described it. And I said, "No." I said, "You have the Classico." He said, "It doesn't say Classico." He was getting really frustrated because the label was not consistent with the label I was looking at. So I don't know what that situation is there, but I think it was because the ABV matched 43%. And I said, yeah, that's it. And the price seemed to match, what Total Wine had and all. So he said, I'm buying it. I gotta get it because what I tasted at your house was so great. He just thought it was so great. He wanted to buy the next level up. He actually wanted to get the Vida Puebla, just to drink it, but he couldn't find that one. He said he didn't see that one, but he was very excited, and he bought a couple of whiskeys, like really high shelf, good stuff. Good. I don't recall what they were. Good whiskeys. So he had a very productive purchasing day, and he's like me. He'll say, "I'm not buying anything else. That's it. I got too much," which he definitely has too much, and I know. And he laughs at me, like he says, "You have way too much." He was looking at my collection Saturday. He was like, "Man, definitely do not need to buy any more liquor." I said, "I know." But then you keep finding these deals. Like I go to a liquor store and I find a $75 Japanese whiskey for $9.99. It's very hard to resist, right? You say, "Well, no, I can't resist." Plus, I've heard good things about it, and I actually had tried it once. So then you can't resist. Totally unexpected. And then they had a $40 Japanese whiskey for $9.99. So I buy it, And I have no Japanese liquor collection, no whiskey collection, so I just drank them down a little sip every day. Every day was just a couple of ounces until it was gone. And they're gone, and they were great. Okay, so the winner, El Silencio by a thin margin. Now, what's coming up tomorrow? Well, tomorrow, nothing. Tomorrow's going to be not, nothing but liquor. Tomorrow's going to be Strong Beer Wednesday. What that means is we review any beer brand from any country. I don't care. It could be high quality, mid-range, or trash. Flavored or unflavored, doesn't matter. At least 5.5% or higher. So the lowest you can bring it in at is 5.5. Now somebody's going to invariably show up with a 5%er and try to bring it in, and I'm going to tell them no. It's not. You're not fitting. It's like you go to a swim meet. You want to do breaststroke, and it's the butterfly event. They're going to tell you, well, no, that's not the event. Okay, you're at the wrong event, or you're trying to do the wrong style. So yeah, 5.5 or above. I have actually a 5.5er for tomorrow night. tomorrow night. So, and it's a brand that everybody's heard of or should have heard of, although they don't do television commercials anymore, and they don't really promote it. And I don't think you can even find it in its home country these days. Not this version, not the 5.5. But I'm bringing it because it is nice. It's a nice product, I believe. Not great, not like some fabulous thing, but pretty dang nice. And you don't get that style of beer too much from American brewers. Really, you don't. You do if you search your mind. You know what I'm saying? If you wear your mind out searching for it, you might find an isolated type here or there, but generally you don't see those. I mean, think about pale ale. You barely see pale ale anymore, except for Sierra Nevada pale ale, or Dale's, if you find it, because everything these days is all India pale ale, and most of those are really, many of those are just strong pale ales masquerading as an IPA, because you taste them and it's like, no, that's not an India pale ale that I know of. That's just a strong fruit flavored ale coming in at 9%, 9.5 in a tall stovepipe can. It's really a malt liquor with more quality, arguably, for the convenience store crowd. Not to disparage that, but don't call this 20 IBU fruit flavored malt liquor, high gravity malt liquor ale. Don't call it an India pale ale. But that's the selling point. You see, they put the magic word on there. People run behind it. They got companies in Louisiana that do that. A lot of their stuff is just, let's be honest, boring as anything. And I watched a video this morning, and the guy was like, another disappointment from blank. Another disappointment from blank. He said, man, I keep buying their stuff, and it is just not happening. And I'm not going to say it because they got some people that's like, it's like they married to it. It's like you're talking about their relative, their wife or something. And they cannot look at it objectively. So you can't say anything bad about that beer, or they flip their lid. But he's over there in Denmark. He doesn't, he ain't worried about some American losing it. He's just telling you. And I'm thinking to myself, I said, I know how you feel, because I have experience, and I don't even buy their stuff anymore, because I know what I'm going to get, and it ain't going to be that great but the price is going to be great. So it's like, I'm tired of paying an A price for a B beer. No way. That's not happening anymore. And he was just fussing about it. And I wanted to make a comment. I didn't, but I wanted to say, hey, don't feel bad. We say it all the time. All right, but these are not disappointments. These are really solid, great. Well, we use that word too often, don't we? Very good products. Great. I don't know. Do I even have a great liquor in this house? That's debatable. Debatable. Do I have a great beer? Debatable. Yes, I have one. Dogfish Head 120 IPA. I'm sorry, the Worldwide Stout. Well, that's another great one. Worldwide Stout is definitely great, and it's 100 out of 100. And I have one bottle left, and I got to figure out what to do with it. It's like you don't want to drink it just to drink. It's like I want to do something special with it, but I can't figure out what that would be. Oh, I could bring it for Stout Sunday next month. That's a good idea. Okay. Y'all take care now. Thanks for watching, and see y'all later. Bye-bye, everybody.